Hello, everyone. We're so glad that you can join us today for the Campaigner webinar, Drag and Drop Editor. We're going to provide a lot of helpful and useful information about our drag and drop editor, as well as provide a hands-on demo. We kind of want that demo to be a little interactive, so we definitely want to hear from you so that you can make the most out of our editor. My name is Hank Hoffmeyer. I am one of your speakers today. I am in client success. I ultimately just make sure that our customers and anyone that uses digital marketing succeeds using the Campaigner product. And I'm just knowledgeable, and I've been dubbed the digital marketing infotainer because I love to make marketing fun and successful. And I guess you'll be the judge of that today. I'm joined by Sean O'Flattery today. He is a team lead on our client success team. Sean, welcome to the webinar today. And you're going to be doing a lot of the driving. I'm going to talk about the editor, but you are going to do a lot of the driving with the hands-on demo. So thanks for joining me today.
Hey, Hank. Thanks a lot for inviting me on today. I'm looking forward to getting this webinar going with you.
Yeah, this is going to be great. Usually this is one of our most popular topics is designing emails using the editor and just making sure that emails were performing well. So this is going to be really cool. All right, let me go to the next slide here. All right, so not that you're wondering why you're here because you know why you're here, but what we want to do really is just show you the drag and drop editor that's really easy to use. We want to show you around and make sure that you're able to get the help you need because maybe we do a good job today of telling you how to use the editor and it looks so easy, but then once you start doing it, you might hit some roadblocks or maybe there's some challenges. And what we want to do is provide you with the information you need so that you can get the support to get that email looking awesome, looking great, and get it out the door so that you can get your conversions and inform people about products or services you have. With that, we're going to take a look at the editor and the features of the editor so you know how to use it. We're going to do that hands-on demo. Sean is going to actually jump into an account and show you how to build an email. And if you want to know something specific, let us know in the question section. We'll be glad to bring that up and try to do that live on the demo because I don't think we would go the full hour, but we definitely want to answer your questions, if not during, after the webinar today, just to ensure that you have a firm grasp on how to use this editor to its fullest capabilities. And then last, I'm going to provide you with the information to make sure you know how to get that expert help that you need. The editor has been overhauled from the ground up to provide you with a drag and drop type of experience, which is something that is very easy to use rather than hand coding something or needing to know how to do padding and cells and everything. Like you just drag blocks over, you drag content over, and you start building. You can choose a layout that we offer, or you can start from scratch, which makes it even more powerful. Maybe you have certain branding that you wanted to adhere to, and we provide the mechanism for you to start from scratch and build out your theme and layout together and then save as a template. You can move, copy, and delete rows as well as blocks. And you could do this all on the fly and make changes and then also save it so you have it for later. There's also a photo editor. You can apply visual effects. Maybe you need to crop an image or you need to rotate it, add text to it or filters, kind of like Instagram. We provide that to you so that your emails can look awesome and have great looking images inside them. And then I already alluded to this, you can build custom themes. So you choose a layout, you tweak it, you adapt it to the way you want it to look, and then you say, you know what, I want to use this in the future and I can save it as a draft, but what if I delete that draft? The best thing to do is we'll show you how to actually save that as a template, but then also there's themes. So what you can do is choose any layout, or you can choose any email you've created in the past, and you can adopt a theme to it. So that theme could be fonts, colors, button rounding, link colors. All of that would apply to everything that you've created in the past or that you created right then and there, and then you apply the theme to it. This will make a lot more sense when Sean dives in and shows you this. And then coming soon, what we want to do is provide a way for you to manage your templates. We're going to give you an interface so that you can categorize your templates and maybe have a grid and a gallery view, and then provide a more efficient way for you to manage your content so that it makes sense to you, so you can find your templates and start diving in and creating awesome looking emails. And then what we also want to do is be able to copy campaigns from the drag and drop editor that we're going to cover today and bring it over to the full email editor so that you can make some final edits if you're one of those coder types. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Sean. He's going to dive into an account that we have set up where we can actually show you the power of the editor. Sean, it's all yours.
Thanks for the introduction, Hank. So what we are looking at here, for those who are familiar with Campaigner, this is your Campaigner dashboard. This is the page that you'll first see when you sign into your Campaigner account. We'll head over to the email campaigns tab, and from here, we'll be looking at all the different campaigns that we've started to build out, perhaps sent in our specific account. With the blue action button at the top, we will click on New Email Campaign, and from there, we're presented with our in-house builders. Now, since we're focusing on the drag and drop editor today, I will hit select under that. And then from there, we are taken to the first of 4 steps of putting together a campaign. So down the left-hand side here, we have a number of different themes, as Hank already mentioned. And then what we're looking at in the center of the page is just basically the example. With the themes that we do have, when you do come and you click on one, you can see here that we do have a number that you are able to go through. But from there, when you do come in and actually click on one of the themes, you're then presented with a large amount of different layouts. So again, scrolling down, you can see here, starting from the top, we have a promotional, 3 different promotional layouts. We have blog post layouts, we have newsletter layouts, and then we have e-commerce layouts. So just going back to the themes, you can go through, you can get a feel for what's there. Everything that you do see here, whether it be a theme and then a specific layout, you are able to then customize yourself, whether it be the color palette that you're changing, of course, the text, the images, add your own links, add your own social media content, that sort of thing. You would be able to use our themes to then customize to what you're looking to send out. Now, with that, if you basically want a blank canvas, you can click the Start from Blank button in the top right-hand corner. And then from there, you can still build out your own drag and drop campaign. And as Hank mentioned, there is a tool within the editor itself, which allows you to save a template. So if you're looking to use a template, say for the next 3 months, the next 6 months, or it's seasonal and you want to save it so you don't have to do all the work again next year, we do have a save as template tool, which then would populate the other button here on step 1, which is save templates. So you can have a number of your own save templates as well, with all your links and whatnot already pre-populated, so you can come in and again, just save yourself that time. So for today's demo, basically to get started, what we'll do is we will start from blank. And here we are in the drag and drop editor. So to start things off, basically we'll want to build out our skeleton or our blueprint, whatever you would like to call it, based on the different row options that we have here. Now you don't have to build out the entire blueprint from the start, but basically to get things started, you'll drag a row over. And then from there, if you're looking to use that row again, you have some options within the editor itself, not going all the way over to the right-hand side. So the first button we have is a move button. So if you have a number of different rows built out and you basically want to change the order of the content, you're able to move them around within the editor itself. The next one we have is a copy button. So this is basically creating an absolute duplicate of that row that you're copying. If there was any content here, whether it be an image, whether it be a text, or a different content block that we're going through, it would create a copy. And of course, you're able to edit that from there. If you've made one too many copies, or you're looking to, you clicked on a save template and you want to remove a specific piece, you do have the trash can button here as well, which will simply remove that. So from there, once we have a couple rows in, we'll go back to the content section, and these are all of the different content blocks that you're able to actually use to build out. So the first one being a text box, the next one being an image. How all of these work, it's a simple drag, and then you would simply have a text box. So this is an example of some text. From there, when you have your text box, you can see that the whole control center or command panel up here comes to life for your actual text. You can change the font, the size, the coloring, and so on. Coming back to the main image here, the next one we have is an image. And again, you just simply drag that content block over. It puts in this kind of placeholder type image, just being a gray block. And then you would go in, you would choose your specific image. either from your media library that's already been uploaded, or you would just simply upload an image from your computer. We will go through this process once we actually build out a campaign, but for now we'll just cover all of the content pieces itself. So from there, like I said earlier, if you do want to actually remove an entire row, you can kind of click outside and you can see the 2 blue lines are here showing that I've selected the whole row, and I could delete that. Or if I hover over the content block itself and I want to keep this row, but I basically don't want to use it as an image, I can click on the little trash can there, and here's my row still present. Next is the caption, and this is basically a combination of the first two. A caption is an image with text linked directly to it. So you can have the image on the left, the text on the right, and with the caption content block, you do have a number of different options over here on the right hand side, which you'll see with a few of our pieces. So if we wanted to do image on the left, that's the the default, the first one. But if we wanted to swap that and have the image on the right, or perhaps the image on top, and of course the image on the bottom, you would have all of these different options. So that was caption. Next, what I'll do is I'll bring over the collage. So the collage is specifically just images. But again, with the collage content block, you are presented with a number of different options. So over here on the right-hand side, as you can see, it says 2 images, and we're only seeing 2 images. We can change that to 3 images. From there, again, we're presented with some options. So if we want the images basically in line, left to right, we have that option. Or if you want to highlight a specific image, and have 2 smaller images, you can do that. And then you can basically reverse that as well. Very similar, if we up it to the max at 4 images, you can see here they are stacked 2 by 2, but you are able to choose specific layouts that you do want. So that there was the collage. The next thing that we're able to do is basically insert a link to a video button. So if I just simply go over and grab a link to one of our campaigner tutorial videos, I would just simply come back, I would click on the content block with the play button. From the video URL, I would just hit paste. And then what campaigner is going to do is it's going to go and grab basically that first screen that you see when you load up the a YouTube video, as an example. So it places that behind, and it keeps that play button in front of it. So it gives your contacts the information that there is a video there, and depending on their email provider, if they click it, it might be a simple pop-up and play right there as a smaller screen for them. They're not actually leaving their email, or it simply might just open a new tab to play that video. The next one, we have buttons and dividers. So this is a simple call to action button. Again, completely customizable. You can say, click here. You can change the color to whatever you would want it to be. You can add a link, the button text, what color you would want it to be, what font you would want it to be, and then you can also kind of round out the corners if you wanted, depending on the styling that you are looking for. Next one, a divider. This is simply a horizontal line, again, completely customizable by you guys, depending on like the spacing you want around it, the color you want it to be, the width of the line and whatnot. Again, when you drag a content block over, you're presented with options over here on the right-hand side. One of the most popular ones now is the social media content block. So you can see here that it is adding in 2, just by default, of the social media icons. Again, over here on the right-hand side for Facebook, we wanted to add our own social media pages for our business. You would simply come in and you just click on the URL section and then copy and paste it from the from your Facebook page. If you're looking to add more, or of course, if you're looking to remove one of these 2, it would just be the trash can. But you can see down here, we have this add service option. So choosing on what you want to add. So if we wanted to do Snapchat, I would just simply choose that, click on the plus sign, LinkedIn, Instagram, and whatnot. And then from these, like I say, you just click on the pencil to go in and edit them. And depending on your background and whatnot, you do have a few different options on, how large you want the icons to be, how you want them to be stacked. If you would prefer them to just be of the shade black, of the shade white, if you wanted them to have a transparent background, so they'll probably disappear here, black and then back to color. So you do have a number of different options there. If there is a specific block where you are looking to customize things a bit more than what you can do within the drag and drop editor itself, you can convert specific blocks to HTML as well. Just scrolling all the way to the bottom, you can convert it, and then as Hank mentioned, if you are or you do prefer to be, work with the HTML code, you can do that as well. So the last one being an RSS feed that you are able to pull from an RSS page for the campaign itself. Hank, before I go in and basically just start putting together a campaign, was there anything you wanted to mention that I kind of missed over or skipped out on with the
On the
overall view of the
HTML,
content
because
blocks?
there's actually a question about that. You're getting a lot of good feedback, and I just wanted to mention you're a natural. It's almost like a play-by-play. I think you have a future in sports broadcasting if you see that in your horizon. So.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Hank.
But Dana's saying that they do some seminars and stuff like that, and she actually gave me a link to her website. She was number one asking what kind of template to build, and then she said based on what you were doing and doing a great job of it, it's probably starting from scratch. And I mentioned maybe taking a look at some of the layouts we have to get inspiration, or just look and see how they're built, because some of them have like text overlays on images, which you would not think of doing, where you use a background image for that area, and then you throw text on top of it, which could be pretty cool. And we were actually talking about that the other day, Sean. So that's great. We are getting some questions. I think one of them, we're getting a lot now actually, but one is the add to calendar button. We don't have that in the editor. It's actually something that we can recommend to the development team. But what you could do is use third-party services. Just Google like add calendar to website or add calendar to email. And there's a few of them. I'm struggling to remember. But what you could do is take that HTML block, drag that over, put the HTML in there, preview it to make sure it works fine, and then go from there. That's a great way to do that. And I'm actually going to I have a website that I'm actually using that on, that I'm going to look up on there. But otherwise, you did a great job talking about that and play around with it. I don't know if you mentioned.
I do have a plan here, Hank, to like kind of just build one out so we can do that background image and everything, and hopefully that will address some of the questions. Just so you know, like we'll go through a couple different options here, and I can build out a campaign if you're okay with that.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's go ahead, and I'm actually getting that page up right now. So the one I'm using is eventable.com. So if you go there, they do have a free service where you can create a calendar entry, and then what you can do from there is go ahead and create your calendar link and put that into the email. So that would work for you. And we'll get to some of the other questions shortly, so we can move forward.
Okay, great. Thanks, Hank. Perfect. So I was kind of playing with this earlier today. So I have a notepad just with some text, so you guys don't have to watch me fumble around with the words and my sticky fingers, getting all the text in. So what I'll do is I'll basically just build something, kind of Easter themed with some colors and whatnot. So what we'll do is we'll kind of start with the text box up here at the top. And, sometimes when you are copying text over from a specific application, whatever it might be, the formatting might come with it. A couple tricks for that. If you have Notepad or some sort of TXT editor on your computer, you can paste it into that and then copy it again from there and bring it over. That should potentially clear any formatting that is coming from, Outlook, Microsoft Word, whatever it might be. Or you can try a Control-Shift-V, which is basically a paste as plain text as well. So if I kind of put this in here. Now with this is just a simple text box that we added in first. Now if I click on the row, and someone was asking and Hank brought it up, using a background image. So the background image will basically have to be formatted, properly, at least so it can fit in some text on it. So from there, I'll come over to the right-hand side so we can see we have the two blue lines here. So the whole row is selected. And I'll just turn on over here on the right-hand side, use background image. And then what we'll do is we'll hit choose an image. And then from there, I believe I have one. Now, if we're looking here in the media, media library, you can see how this image with kind of the brown wood background and the shirt, it has some room for some text on the side. That's kind of what I was talking about. Similar to this plant, if it was the correct size for a background image, you have all this space to add text, and that's kind of what I was talking about. Now, Hank mentioned the photo editor. You would simply just click on the three dots and then you can click edit image. But for now, to add this specific image in, I will just hit select. So basically you can see now that this image has been added. I did have some text here that I'll just highlight. I'll now change the font color to white. We will increase this maybe to size 50. And then from there, I'll just move it down a bit because basically the background image only shows for what is there in the text box. So if I press enter a few times, from there, maybe that's a good spot for it. I'll press enter again.
That looks pretty good.
Basically, yeah, we're getting down to the bottom here. So from there, maybe we'll want to highlight a couple different things within the our campaign on stuff for people to do over Easter weekend, whether it be during these strange times that we're in now, or if it was just kind of last year, or hopefully next year. So from there, I added another row. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a content block, and then I'll simply just copy that. But what I'll do probably for spacing is I'll actually bring over another row, put it in there, and then I will move this second content block down one. And then for this one, I will basically just shift it over. So we would kind of build like an S pattern or a snake pattern, if you would. From there, I will click on the image for the first one, just scrolling down a bit. Again, you have all of the caption properties here. So depending on how you want to have the layout, how you want it aligned vertically, select an image is here. So I'll come to this one. I'll go back to the two images that I was using earlier. I'll hit select. Now, maybe just because of the way this image is lined up, I think I'll actually swap these two so it's more kind of right aligned. Then what I'll do is I'll go over and I'll just bring some text over here. So I'll do my Control-Shift-V. And then kind of walking everyone through just to how to do a bit of formatting. I'll paste this in, for our title, for our header. What I'll do is there's this kind of cool Pacifico one. I'll set the size maybe to 20. That looks okay like that. And then we will center that. So with that, I will then highlight the text below it. Default, I think is Arial, but we'll leave it as Arial, but we'll just make it 18. And again, we will center that. Now, we said we're going kind of with spring colors. So I'll click outside, so it's the entire row, and then over here, the row background is what we're going to change. So I found kind of a spring type color. Hopefully most of the people on online agree with me, but I'll just basically paste that in. And now just to show that we do have this kind of light purple background. So with that, I decided to shift this image over on the right-hand side. So I'll go back on this one. Again, I'll single click. I'll go down, I'll choose an image. I'll go to the folder that I want it to be. I'll go grab my text that I threw together earlier. Again, Control-Shift-V, paste that in. I apologize if anyone can hear my 5-month-old in the background. She wasn't able to sign on today and she sounds upset about that. So
we can all understand that. We're probably almost everyone's working from home.
yeah. So we'll do 20 again. And then for this, I will, what did we do? I think we made it Arial, and then we made this 18. If there's a font here, if you're trying to, for you guys, if you're trying to align something so it all fits on one line, or, if the font actually isn't listed, just a quick trick, excuse me. If you're looking for size 20, which I made it, you can just simply double click in the mouse box there and type in the font that you do want. Now with that, I'll just highlight, I will click center, and just, I think I had more of a yellow background. So again, I'll click on the row. The reason I'm kind of highlighting this is because you can click on the caption box and you can change the background just for that as well, whereas we want it to be for the whole row. The row background color, I'll throw that in, and this kind of just gives you guys an idea on how this goes together. If you wanted to kind of, if you didn't have I'm pasting in the hex codes, but if you didn't have the hex codes, you could just simply come over, click row background color, and let's say we wanted to make this kind of perhaps a lighter blue. It's just simply clicking on the entire palette here, and you can see Campaigner basically updates it as we go across. So to kind of show you guys how to throw an email together with the background image, which can be tricky, but it is a really cool tool. This is basically how we do. Now, Hank, what are your kind of thoughts on that?
I mean, very quickly for what you did, I think it looks really good. You know, some of the tricks too would be the one with the picture with the flower pot would be to make it a transparent background so that the whole purple shows. But that's something that if some people don't really know how to do or use Photoshop to do that. But what you might want to do is use images that have that transparent background so that that white block does not show up. But based on what you had and what you did, it looks really awesome.
Perfect, thanks. I guess a couple things I could touch on. It'll kind of ruin the look for it here, but I'll just add another row in content. I'll add a text box for anyone who's looking to personalize the campaigns themselves. So if you, depending on the data points that you collect, and when I say data points, you know, this is email addresses, obviously the primary, but if you collect people's first names, last names, the city, the state, or the province that they're in, you would be able to incorporate all that into your campaigns if you wanted to. So some of our clients add a simple salutation, hello, and then from there, if you wanted to add a merge field, you would simply come up here and it's the square brackets button, and you can see merge field says it underneath. And then if we wanted to add people's first name, so when I open this would say hello Sean. When Hank opened it, it would say hello Hank. But if you only have some of that data, some of your contacts haven't actually entered it, you can set up a default value for that merge field. So it would say, you know, whatever you put in as your default value, friend, reader, user, contact. If it's blank, it would show that. And then similar, here is a link, one thing I didn't mention, but if you ever wanted to link to a line of text, you would just simply highlight it. And then we have this chain link up here at the top. You would simply click on that, and then you would enter the URL for wherever you want people to go. If it is a URL, you do have a few different options. If it's an email address, basically you want to contact us or email us here, you would click on that, and then it would, you know, potentially open up Outlook or a Gmail kind of to pop up. You can link to a phone number. So if you want the ability to have your contacts call you directly from an email, you can do that. Or if you've uploaded an HTML, a PDF or an image to your media library in your Campaigner account, you would be able to link to those as well. I think that's all the things I wanted to touch on before we move on, Hank.
Right. We're getting a lot of questions, and I think, you know, some of them are relatable to some of the things you're doing, but we can hop back in and show them. I think just make sure everyone knows we'll get to the questions, but I think we should get through and talk about, you know, what the next things are, and, you know, saving templates, saving themes and stuff like that, or changing themes would be good. And, you know, your statement about, you know, the baby in the background, people are saying they love the hearing a baby in the background.
Oh, good. Good. I'm happy to hear that. It's almost nap time, so hopefully that goes okay. So yeah, so the tool button up here in the top right-hand corner, save as new template. So basically, we created this. Again, if you were to think of this more as a blueprint, so we have our image up here at the top. Then we have our caption boxes in this S pattern. You could add more. Then we have the footer. You could basically come in and then hit save as new template. So that back on step one of building out your campaign, you would have access to this. So you could simply come in. You could easily change the photos, just swapping them in and out. You could change on the text, and then basically all of that initial work, that upfront work, is completed. You can then export the HTML if you wanted to. If you wanted to go to somewhere like Dreamweaver or Microsoft Expressions and just basically review the HTML, you would be able to do that. Or you can copy it, as Hank said, if you want to actually customize the entire template with HTML, you can copy it to our full editor, which gives it like that. But you know,
so that actually works now, right? I had that as a coming soon item.
Yeah, I haven't done it myself, but I believe it's gone through QA. I've been hearing pretty good feedback of it for those who'd like to work with the HTML. That it seems to be working as intended, and a few of our customers are pretty happy about it.
Awesome. If anybody uses that and you have any feedback, you know, make sure to send that to us.
So from there, we could head over to themes, and this is where you're able to, again, this will be linked to a template. So if you're using the same kind of text within your body. You have a few different headers, as I use the Pacifico text font here. Basically, you can come into themes and you can set different things. You can set what color a link is when you add it to a link. You can set to whether a link is underlined or not underlined. But basically, if I were to come in and I said, all right, for heading 1, everything that I make heading 1, I want to be a specific color. So just to kind of show it off, we'll do it red, and we will do it, just to show it stands out, we'll do it Pacifico. So from there, if I go back, I add a new row in, I add some text in, and I kind of just start testing text. From there, if I highlight this and come over to format and hit heading 1, it'll now apply that theme. So this is, again, a time-saving measure. This is linked to the template itself, to the campaign. So you would be able to come in, set those themes, and then you can come in, bring that code in, bring that copy in, that text in, and basically paste it in. And then from there, you can set the different themes that you have set up for it. If I go back here, basically what I'll do is I'll make here a link just to show it off to everyone, and I'll just link it to campaigner.com. I'll hit save. So right now you can see it kind of goes gray and it is underlined. If I head over to themes, what I can do is I'm just looking for the link style. So link color, again, let's make this maybe a bright blue so it stands out. And then we will say link underline, and I'll simply unclick that. And then you can see here that this has now changed to blue. So with the themes itself, you can come in and you can kind of do all this upfront work, save that as a template so that you don't have to do it the entire time. Same with like this body text. If we wanted to customize it to be Comic Sans, that sort of thing, we could do that, a specific color, a specific size. You would just simply highlight it, come up to format, click on that body text option, and then it would basically display as intended. I think I've touched on all of the tools, Hank. I touched on themes. Are we okay to go to preview and test, or have a couple more questions come in?
Yeah, let's go through that because a lot of them are kind of specific and unique in some ways. Let's go those will be pretty quick to preview and test and then send, and then we'll come back.
Sure, that sounds good. So I'll just remove this so it kind of stays in line with what we built out here. So after you have it, or maybe partway through, you'll want to see how it actually looks like as though it were in someone's inbox. So here we are kind of displaying the image as though it was in someone's inbox. You have all the to and from information up here at the top that you would likely have filled out in your own account. And then we have some great tools over here on the side. So right now we're looking at it in desktop view. If someone were opening it on their laptop or their wide screen monitor at their desk, then we also have mobile view, which you have down here. You can see that everything's stacking nicely. It would look good on an iPhone and Android device, that sort of thing. And then coming back up, if you did want to send it to a colleague or send it to yourself, maybe you have a personal address, that sort of thing, you want to see how it's showing in a specific domain, you can enter multiple addresses here. Put a timestamp and an instructional message if you want. If not, that's fine. And then you can send it as a test to basically all of your colleagues. Maybe someone needs to give approval for it. You can send it to them this way. Maybe there's a copy editor. You need to send it to them to proofread, that sort of thing. So basically, that's the preview and test page. If you did include any merge fields, that first name within the campaign, if you have a test contact that has some of that data in it, those would all show here as well. So you can make sure that there wasn't a typo if you type them in manually, just to make sure that if someone's data is blank, that you do have that default value in, that sort of thing. So the preview and test is a very important tool as well. From there, I will click close preview. We'll be taken back to the drag and drop editor itself, and I will click next, and we'll go on to step 3, which is editing the plain text email. Now, a lot of our clients just simply do a Control A, delete this. Some of our clients know that their contacts are kind of behind a strict firewall, and that HTML version of the email get through, so they still do include a plain text email. But like I say, most of them just clear it and click next, and then we will be taken to the last page, the last kind of step, if you wish, of putting together an email. So this is where you put together your subject line. So kind of in relation to what we built out, I'll just put in, spring ideas for around the house. If you wanted to look through our emojis to see if there was anything that kind of fit well, you could also go to an emoji website, copy it over, do some testing just to make sure it's rendering okay when you send it out. You could do that. From there, we'll just kind of update it. So the from name is your business name, your name, whatever you would want it to be. Your from email, you would be able to add that email to your Campaigner account, so it's coming out from there. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of that. If you're not, again, that's something our support team can help you out with. Coming down a bit, we have all our footer information to make sure we're following all the laws that are put into place. If you do want to share the campaign on your social media platforms, you are able to copy the specific links down here. And then for those who aren't aware, if you do want to add Google Analytic tracking or Adobe Analytic tracking, you are able to just turn on the plugins down here at the bottom, and then you're able to customize the URLs so that if people come to your website from this specific campaign, you would be able to see that in your Google Analytics account. Now, another tool we won't get into very much today, but if you aren't using our experiment tool, this is a really handy tool to actually test out different sending options. So if you wanted to do a test on your subject line, or if you wanted to do a test on your pre-header, the experiment tool is a really, really handy tool. And if you aren't using that and you have some questions about that, Hank's going to provide all the information on who you can reach out to, and we can go from there. From there, I think we're basically set to go. I don't think we're missing anything key and
Sean,
showstoppers.
go back to like creating a new email and show everyone where the templates are.
Okay. So I'll hit email campaigns. From there, I will hit new email campaign, or I could just click the drop down arrow and go drag and drop. And then I believe this is the page that you were looking for here, Hank.
Right. Yeah, it says save templates. That's where you find it, folks. So once you save a template, that's where they'll be. And unless you physically delete it, it's always there and available for you untouched, whereas a draft, a lot of things can happen to it. All right, let's go back over to the deck for a moment, and then we'll come in and answer some questions because we'll probably have to hop back into the editor to answer a couple. What I want to do is make sure we give you the information on contacting support, and that'll be right here, email support@campaigner.com. We have our regular phone number and international. Regular is 888-845-4544. Should be in your account as well. And with that, I think we can actually just jump right into the questions, and there's a lot of great ones. And some of these you might want to show in the app, and I can read them off, and then you can maybe show us how to do it, or I'll just talk through it. Regarding fonts, this is from Brad. Can you explain how to reduce text padding above or below a block of text? Also, occasionally I have two sentences separated by a return or a line break, but when viewed in mobile, the sentences, the leading vertical line spacing makes the type look as if the copy is printed over itself. How is it best to create a flow there? So a lot of that is around the see the spacing on the right, and then you have your also we have the padding there too, or spacing. I would say try that. Your spacing and then the padding, playing around with that. That's actually pretty cool. I know Sean earlier when we was doing the overlay text on the image, he hit return a couple times. You can also use the spacing on the top and the bottom to help you out there and see which one is best, and then test and see which one actually works for you. And Phyllis said, what is that last block? So if you show me what blocks we have available, what items we can add. And I think, because I know this one is new. Last one, RSS. That is a new block for the drag and drop. It's been around for Campaigner, but somebody else actually asked later on, Diane, what is RSS? So if you have a blog, especially on WordPress, you're going to have what's called an RSS. And what that means is it's just a link to recent posts. It's almost like saying, hey, here's a new post. Hey, here's a new post. And what you can do is insert an RSS into, say, an automated campaign to saying, anytime there's a new blog post, I want that email to go out. And what I want to do is include the image, the title, and a snippet of the actual content, and then a read more button, which is what that RSS does. And it's actually, I think, not even a week or so old. It's kind of new to this editor. Me as a blogger myself, this is very helpful and beneficial because you could just go write your blog post, publish it, and then Campaigner will pick that up and send it out to your subscribers. Hopefully that answered that question for you folks. Anything else to add to that, Sean?
No, I don't think so. Other than it is entirely, it's a new feature. I think 6 or 7 days old, like you say, Hank. I have an RSS email that I built out basically from a local news source that has an RSS feed. So I just have that set as a reoccurring campaign. So I get that every day. I think at 9:15. It just kind of keeps me up with my local news. So I just kind of Googled the one of the big chains here, CBC. So I just Googled CBC Ottawa RSS. They had one. I was able to just take that RSS link, excuse me, go into the my campaigner account, put that in, build it out, and it just grabs kind of, I think, 10 articles that are the newest on the website, and I get that. It just keeps me kind of up to date on my news cycle
Right.
daily.
And the functionality is not new, folks. It's just that adding it to the drag and drop is new. It's been around. It's just we just add it as a block, and we have some more stuff coming. All right, so Brian's asking, does it matter if you choose mobile or desktop when you start a new template? No, actually what that's doing is just showing you what it would look like on mobile or desktop. It is mobile responsive. In other words, as you build it, it's already going to be adapting to both screens. And then I don't know if we showed it or not, but there's the way to add like 4 images and you can have them be side by side and you could say stack on mobile or don't stack on mobile. And what that'll do is if you say don't stack on mobile, it'll force them to stay small in a single row. Whereas if they stack, they'll be on top of each other. It doesn't matter which one you choose. You can start building your email and then preview it and see what it looks like on both desktop and mobile. Can you show me one more time how to overlay text on a background image? If you want to do that, maybe I can find a couple that I can answer while you're doing that. Okay, so John is saying he watched one of our last webinars and I guess wants to conduct surveys to a large group, 20,000, and track the responses in a report format. Unfortunately, I don't think we have that function, right, Sean? We don't have surveys, right?
Correct.
What I would say is use
Correct.
something like SurveyMonkey. This way you do get that data, and then what you could do is you can import that data into Campaigner if you wanted to further segment and everything. I use SurveyMonkey. I think it's a really good tool. Hopefully that helps you there. Is there a stock image library that we can access to for good images from Vanessa? No, not currently. We are looking at possibly doing something. If you do not have a budget for Getty Images or 123rf.com, I would say Unsplash and Pixabay are two good sources. Liz says, how do you know what size to make a photo? As long as it's not a huge file size, you can upload it and we automatically kind of quote unquote resize it for the email. And then I guess once you're done with that, Sean, what we can do is show how to resize a photo. There's actually a little button that you can turn on and off for that. So let's look at, what Sean did here is he has a row and he put the text in there and he's got his text. And then I guess what you do is put the image in there next, right? Use background image. He's doing that now. And you would just simply choose an image. So instead of adding an image to the email from the blocks, you're going to use a background image for that section. And I don't think we need to go through the formatting, but it's black there, right there. He would just change that to white. And that's kind of how that works, and you style it. And then you can either use the return or the spacing top and bottom to get that spacing he was doing and the sizing. But yeah, that's how to do the overlay, which I think is pretty cool. It's a great way to make things stand out, especially a product or a service. Just don't make it too busy is probably what I would say. Polly says what size to format the photo. Like I said, you don't need to worry about that as long as it's not over, I think like 5 MB, I think it is. Did we go over the editor, the image editor? I don't think we did, right?
Just briefly, but if you want to walk them through it, I can. I got a spot here that we can go and choose an image, Hank?
All right, so choose an image that has nothing on it, or or even a shirt again, or that one's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Who doesn't like donuts? Almost like a birthday cake, right? So we have the image in there. We're going to click edit right there, and you can also do this when you're in your image library. I'm just going to bring up the editor. We have the ability to zoom in and out. We can transform, which would be your crop, rotate, and everything. So that would be if you wanted to resize, but maybe you wanted to change it to square 4:3, 16 by 9, or you wanted to crop like that right there, like crop out the top a little bit or something. We can do that, and then it's just important to note when you're done with your edits, you have to hit that back arrow because you'll see that the save buttons are not currently working right now. And then we have filters, kind of like Instagram, where you can make it look grungy, overlays, stuff like that, lucid or some, so we can make it look real funky, make it look like an art project. And once you're done with that, let's go back. We can adjust like the color, the contrast. We can do highlights, brightness, clarity, exposure, all that good stuff. Just don't go too crazy. If you know what you're doing, then it's great. And then last we have, not last, but second to last is text. So we can add our own text, change the color, change the font, size, and then the alignment of that as well. So that's another way to kind of do what Sean was doing in a way, if you want to do it this way. He's saying happy birthday, just like that. And anytime we're ready to save, we can save as a copy and save edits. But I think there was one more option before we get out of here. There you go. We have focus. So that's like Instagram where it blurs the background. If you wanted to do that, not really going to see much of that here. I see it a tiny bit, but probably folks don't really see that. But it would blur anything outside that circle is pretty much what it's doing. And that one's more linear or horizontal. Yeah, you can make it blurry like that. So you could save the edits. It would save to the original, or you can save a copy so that you have the original and then you save the copy. All right. Anna says, one of the greatest challenges I face in working with campaigners adding text. What's the best way to input text in documents? Depends on what you mean by that. Obviously you can type. I would be careful with copying and pasting because a lot of times what happens is it will inherit the format from where you're copying from, especially Word. That's infamous for retaining the formatting. And a lot of times it might look good in the editor, but then when you send it to say Outlook on a Windows machine, it would actually look pretty bad. I would say paste into Notepad or text edit and then take that, paste it in and format it in the editor just to make sure that there's no residual items or code attached to that font. Hopefully that answered your question. When I try to add text, it often misaligns and screws up the bullets. If you're copying and pasting, that's probably where that's coming from. If you do see that issue with creating it natively in the app, I would say contact support because that shouldn't happen. All right, somebody said this is very helpful. This is Diana. Do you have any webinars on forms? I don't think we have one. Maybe that's something that we need to do. So thank you for that. And Diane says, do you need Photoshop that makes transparent images or can you do that in Campaigner? Although you cannot do it in Campaigner, there are apps for, say, your iPhone or Android phone that can do that for you. I believe there's a couple free ones. There's probably other photo editing apps that are free for tablets that you can use. And there are some websites that are free. If you just say create transparent background, a lot of times there's free options. For me, I'm just used to Photoshop, so I'm able to use that. All right, great idea. How do I make a transparent background? Just answered that for Dana. Let's see. The image editor through Campaigner will allow you to change the image that much. Hopefully we just covered that based on everything that you saw from the editor. Vanessa says, can you make the image bigger when you use the caption option? I do not think so, right? I think it's whatever size it is. But let's do something. Let's add a caption block, or if you have one already in there. And then add an image to it once you get it in there. Got about 8 minutes left, folks, and I think we can get through a majority of these questions.
So it will change a bit depending on the size of the image that does come in. I think I noticed that when I did these two, Hank. So if I do another copy, depending on if you're bringing in a square image versus a widescreen kind of setup,
Well, we have the default
Let's see.
size button. Did you see that? So let's show them that because that's something I skip over a lot. There, not, no, I think there's another one, isn't there? Keep going down. Right there, it says default
Default
size.
size.
What you could do is
Yeah.
click that off, and if you want to make it smaller, that's how you would do that. So I want to make sure people knew about that, though. That'll make it smaller if you wanted to. So you could bring in a bigger image and then make it smaller, if that makes sense. All right, Bernadette says, I've always
And
used
then you
shorter
can also
images.
play.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was just saying, then you can also kind of decide how you want to align it, and then you have the spacing option as well.
Bernadette says, I've always used shorter images at the top. This one is pretty long. Is there a thought as to what's the best? Uh, I guess rule of thumb is, you need to have a call to action high up in your email, and that could be an image that captizes the audience, and then a button below that, or a headline below that, or text over the image. So yeah, in a way, it does matter, and it doesn't matter what size image you use. It's how you use it. Gary says, how does it appear on mobile when you put printing besides a picture? Isn't doesn't so mobile would it be small? Yeah, it would be smaller. That's why you probably want to choose something that has a lot of background. Like the one we chose is pretty big, and we could probably make the font a little bit bigger. Maybe better put an image and then printing below. Yeah, it just depends. If it's a hero image, if it's taking up the whole width of the email, you have more leeway as to how big you can make the font. So you just play around with it, and then also just know your audience and know what types of emails that they want. All right. Jack says he has significant plain text recipients having trouble finding editing plain text versions, especially after updating initial save. Very frustrating. So the plain text is number 3, and you can play around with that. And you can even enter your own if you want to. There, it doesn't have to be what we give you. But let's go ahead and show. I don't think we have much text in here, so that probably won't really do much, right? Are emails created with the drag and drop editor test proof, say for Litmus? Now, we give you the preview for desktop. We give you the preview from mobile, but yeah, I would say use Litmus or email on Acid just to make sure if you want to make sure it renders correctly on all devices and clients, especially Outlook on Windows. The older versions always have issues no matter what, and it's not Campaigner. It's just a lot of issues that sometimes you have to do a lot of hand coding. So Sean has up the text thing here. So you can see what's there, and then you can go back and insert from HTML again if you want to, or you can add and remove whatever you like here as well. Hopefully that helps with that. Is it possible to upload a custom font? You could bring the email over to the full editor and use whatever font you want, but I would say be careful because you need to be using what's called web safe fonts. Because if you have a custom font, like say for your business, and you send that email out, if they don't have that font installed on their machine, it will not render. It will go to the closest family and render that, and that may actually screw up your design. And that was from Jenny. Thank you, Jenny. Catherine, is there a way to use a custom specific, I guess, font? I think that was what we just answered. What are the top and bottom padding in the theme section? It's the same as in the editor. It says you can say any time I apply this theme, I want a 5 padding at the top and the bottom, or spacing top and bottom. Daniel says, does it still require text only version to be produced and saved? I think you can save without it, right, Sean?
Yeah, yeah, you can just do a Control A if you do have a lot of text, just to select all and hit delete, and then click next to go on to the next page.
All right.
If there is text in there, then you will, and you do a preview and test, then you will just be aware that you will receive 2 tests then. You'll receive the HTML version, which is what we're looking at here, and then you'll also receive a test of the plain text. So if you're ever wondering why you're getting 2 tests from the preview and test page, and one of them is just text, it's simply because you've left text in there.
All right, thank you. Daniel's also asking, so outbound transmissions or emails self-format to either a laptop, PC, or mobile phone. Is that right? No, it's not right. If you're sending from our drag and drop editor, yes, because we have coding in there that will adapt to the screen size, but not all email providers and not all code does that. You just need to be careful, especially if you're designing on your own, say using HTML, you do need to use either CSS or separate coding to dictate what's going to happen on a mobile device versus a PC. But yes, our drag and drop editor automatically does it for you. Dana asks, do you find any particular emoji website works best for these emails? I would just say it needs to be, oh God, I had it in my brain before. But they need to be standardized. In other words, the ones we provide are standardized because on an Android phone and on a iOS device, they might be slightly different. I usually just go into iMessage, copy the ones from there and use those, and they seem to be fine. But again, I would test those with a couple different things. I would not use websites really. Use what we provide or use iOS to grab the ones you want. All right. All right. Jack says, what was that? You cleared all the content, Control A from plain text and moved on. Yeah, I think that was actually the other question about, we wouldn't plan on sending that email if that's what you're getting at, but yeah, you can save without that if you want to. Sarah's is saying this is great. Dana says our support is excellent. What link do you put in read more? And that's from Liz. It depends on what you mean. But read more would be like for the blog post, maybe if that's what you're getting at when we talked about RSS. That would be a link to your blog. Hopefully that was right. If I'm not getting any of these questions correct and it needs clarification, please ask again. Chris says, how do I change the email campaign name and save it? And that'll be up at the top right there. We're already set up for that one right at the top. Change it. And I think if you hit enter or just focus outside of that, it should just save, right? Chris
Yeah,
is
enter
also
works, Hank.
All right. Chris is also asking, how do I copy a portion of an email received from my marketing company and paste it into my new template? Again, I would stay away from direct copy and paste. Use something to be an intermediary that will strip all the coding. Contact our support team if you need help or further information there. So experimenting, actually, I believe it's on our YouTube channel. There is a YouTube video on that, split testing pretty much. Look for that, but basically you can say, hey, I want to send this version with this subject line, another version with this subject line, and maybe even a third one, send it out to small portions of your list, and then come back and send the remainder, or like 70, 60%, the one that actually did the best. Don says RSS is really simple syndication. Thank you. I forgot what that was. It's been a long time since I've actually had to think about that and say that. What is the max size of a photo allowed? Is it 5 megabytes? If not, we just need to clarify that. Do you happen to know, Sean?
So the max file size in an upload is 10,
All right, 10 megabytes. Sorry, that was my fault there. Don is
but
saying,
that might also be a combination, Hank. So if you're saying uploading 25 images, I think you'd have to break it up
okay.
if my memory is correct.
All right. So if you're doing one at a time, it's 10, but maybe if it's 2, 5 each, you guys can test that out if you need to and let us know if you're having any issues. Don said, shouldn't the rows tab be left most and content in the middle? Makes more sense. I agree with you, but we have found a majority of our customers actually use layouts, which already have the rows in there, which is why we did it that way, because they just want to start adding more content to it and play around with the content that's already there. That's kind of why we did that. Brian said, I created a footer yesterday with a logo, email address, and social media icons. They are in a 3-column block. When I tested in Litmus, the footer elements became stacked and wonky. What I would say is use the, I forgot which one it's called, but the one where you can put multiple images and then just make sure that they don't stack on mobile. Go to the content blocks. And what you do is choose the collage and then say choose 3 if it's like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And then just make sure you choose do not stack for mobile, and that should keep them all together. So just change that to 3, and we're just going to leave them big, yeah, like that. And then see, it says image stacking. So right there, you would leave that off. In other words, it'll stay like that. Can you resize an image within the campaign? Pretty much by cropping, but there's no need to resize because we take care of that when you send. All right, great tip on the paste into text edit from Brad. Gene says, in templates, how do you apply different theme colors? So that would be based on ones you already have, or if you can, Sean, go back over to themes, because I don't think we showed them like the ones that are in there. So choose from available themes at the top. These are the ones that we provide. You could switch to one that looks maybe close to what you're currently using, and you'll see some of them actually have background images. But what you can do is click on one of those, and it'll show you things will start changing. This one's a little hard to tell, but if you scroll up or choose another one, actually, I think the one at the top has like the one with, yeah, any one of these should do something. I don't know what it'll change. All you see is changing around a little bit, but the fonts would change, the coloring would
Yeah,
change.
and it's more so that like the text and whatnot, we don't have much text in here, Hank.
Right,
So we're just not seeing all of the changes, but
right.
you can see like the background of the entire email. You know, this has gone kind of whatever you would call that, kind of like an off sand, that sort of thing. If I preview this one, it's gone white. If I preview this one, it's gone
Right.
circusy,
There you
ornate.
go.
So
Cool. How many folks do we still have on? We still have 86 people. Maybe do you have a couple moments, or do you have a meeting, Sean?
no, I believe I am okay. If not, I'll just let them know where I was, and that should be fine.
All right. Can we overlay text on an image, a line to the left or right instead of a full row image? I believe so. I'm just trying to picture in my head what you're looking for. If you aligned an image left, you should be, as long as you align the text left too, because well, it's a full background image. I would say doing it in the image editor is probably the best way. All right, Dana says, is it
Yeah, I'd
beneficial
agree
to
on
send
that.
HTML emails along with your campaign? It depends on what you mean by that, because we are sending HTML. It's just that we're creating it in the background for you. Hopefully that makes sense. Polly says, please show how to customize one of your templates, change image or color. So let's look at one of the layouts really quick. We do support animated GIFs, Brian. That was a question. I believe that we did change the email campaign already, the name. Thanks, guys. That was Brad. Excellent training. We probably need to look at doing a webinar on the full email editor. Thanks, Sherry, for telling us about that. All right, so if we have that, we have different layouts that Sean is showing. Then if you actually go in and you start building it, you can even adapt one of the other themes to this one, or you can change whatever you want in there. So he can apply a different theme like he's doing there, and then you can make it custom. You can customize that theme once you say, okay, I like this one. I want to go back and edit that one. So thank you, sir. Can you customize the width and height of the email? I believe that you might be able to. I think the row's right there. Yes, I would say don't go higher than 600 really, but you can make it thinner if you want to. Experimenting, we did that. Read more as in linking the remainder of the article. Yeah, that would be like a button, and then you would just link back to whatever article you want. Is there a link on the campaigner homepage that I might go to see past webinars? And that's from Chris. Right now, we're putting all of our webinars on our YouTube channel. Make sure to go there and subscribe, and you'll be notified of new videos. Just getting a lot of great feedback all the way from Silicon Valley. And let's see, and somebody else seconds our campaigner support. Awesome. And then Annie says this was a great webinar. We got through all of the questions and only went 6 minutes over, Sean.
Amazing.
I hope to see you as the Yankees broadcaster next year.
Yeah, I personally I can't wait until baseball season starts up again. So
Yeah, well, folks, we appreciate you being here. I know we went a little bit over. Some folks are starting to drop off. We love doing these webinars for you guys. They are for you, and that's why we definitely like to dive into the Q&A section. Sean did all the driving today. I was just your narrator and introducer. We appreciate you being here, and keep on the lookout for our next webinar. And with that, we hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.
thanks everybody. It was a pleasure, Hank.